with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, it happened. 2 cats got COVID-19. They tested positive in the U.S. They are the first pets to test positive. The CDC reports both animals, which are from separate areas of New York State, had minor respiratory symptoms and are expected to make a full recovery. One cat was tested after its owner had tested positive. The other came from a home where no one had the virus, and officials speculate the animal may have come in contact with somebody who is asymptomatic. But jump into cats now. And we knew that, speaking of cats, the big cats at the zoo were getting infected as well.
They just found out that the one cat attended spring break in Daytona Beach.
There it is.
Really?
That's
You
what
had to
happened.
see it coming.
Yeah. It was only a matter of time.
Thing was doing a nip stand. I'm trying to think of a cake stand. I can come up with it.
Good.
You know, it's weird. You can kind of tell where you are in the animal power rankings by all you'd have to do is get a group of 5 women together, and you just go, guess who got this coronavirus, or guess what? One of those Wuhan bats, and all the 5 chicks would go, okay, and then you'd go. It turns out I got a pet hamster that got it. And you'd get like a couple of, but if you said like a polar bear cub, all the women,
A baby seal.
right? So it's like
A tragedy.
All you have to do is just get 5 random women, say, guess who got the coronavirus, and then fill in one of God's creatures, and you could find out exactly where the power rankings were for that creature. Cat's okay. Puppy would get a lot more.
Yeah.
Out of most, you know.
Polar bear cub, that's strong.
That's strong.
Koala. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Strong.
So Senator Elizabeth Warren announced that her oldest brother, Donald, has tested positive and I believe did pass away. He was elderly. I only have the one sentence on him, but she did make a social media post talking about him and how, what a beloved member of the family he was. He was even, I believe, in one of the ad campaigns for her race.
Does she have a picture of Doreen Gray, like aging in her basement or attic somewhere? Like, is she 72 years old and just doesn't look? She doesn't even have that like Judge Jeanine Pirro look where they're clearly dyeing their hair and they're clearly like painting stuff on. Like there's women who get older and then they're doing things in order to make us think they're not. I can't. It doesn't even look like she dyes her hair. Maybe
you know what her secret is.
Her Cherokee blood.
She doesn't wash her face.
Oh, that's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's what you love about her. That's the thing you love about her.
I do love that about her. Is she 72? I mean, she looks brand new all the time, right?
Yeah, very fresh-faced. Let's see, Elizabeth Warren age.
Spunky.
She is 70.
70.
Yeah.
But you guys, when we were kids, 70 was fucking 70.
Ancient.
Yeah. You might as well just set up the Barcalounger next to your gravesite and then just keel over
right
at 70.
Drop right into it.
Yeah. It was like cardigan, dandruff everywhere, weird smell.
Musty.
Talking about kids today, like it did not resemble her at all, right?
And
those were the guys with the homemade toolboxes that they built themselves with the former broomstick as the dowel rod.
Right.
That's right.
Oh,
you cut that weird house profile, Monopoly house profile shape out, then you drill a hole and put the dowel through it and carry it around. And then you have all the jars and coffee cans with the stuff, roofing nails, duplex nails. Yeah, all the stuff labeled, and you don't want anyone touching your shit.
Now, my carpet tacks are in the secrets box.
That's right.
Hey, you know what I just realized has gone the way of quicksand and souffle humor and all of those things? Denture humor.
Yeah.
There used to be so much denture humor. Now there's none.
Yeah.
Fucking polydent.
Yeah. And, chattering on their own. You don't see that anymore.
No,
I
that's
blame
true,
all that new smile technology where they
That's
put
right.
the post in and you have a permanent smile and
post.
blah, blah, blah.
It's not glue.
Post.
That's why.
Yeah, it's posted in. It used
That's
to be
right.
lots of humor involved with that, putting in the glass and blah, blah, blah.
Those days are
Remember
long gone.
just like when old people had territories and turfs and things like that, don't sit on that chair. Like my grandfather had an office and he had 2 chairs and one of them was his. You didn't sit in his chair. That was his chair. You didn't go to that part of the garage, or you didn't touch his tools, or you didn't, if you were eating, you never left a certain, is that me?
I don't know.
That's weird. That's weird because the fire alarm went off in my house last night, the entire house at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, fun.
And
oh man,
it's like, you know what's weird about like a fire alarm going off? It's kind of like an earthquake. It could happen at noon, and then either I wouldn't be home or I'd have a complete and utter contact. Literally, since I've lived in my house, we have a whole house alarm system, which has a whole house fire system.
Mm-hmm.
And everywhere in the house, it went off last night at 4:27 a.m. And everyone, of course, was completely, I went to bed at 1, so I was completely, have no idea what's going on. Everyone, the fire department showed up, sheriff showed up, everyone fucking showed up. And again, it could happen at 10 a.m. It could happen at 4 in the afternoon. It could happen anytime. That fucking window of 4:30. It is just, that's not like, hey, Sonny was smoking a blunt down in the basement. You know, there was nothing going on. It just randomly happened. It wasn't provoked by anything.
We haven't discussed it. Jeff, you and I are neighbors. Did you feel the earthquake that was in the middle of the night 2 nights ago? It wasn't national news. It was like a 3.7, but it was centered in West LA. And so it was short, but it was a jolt. It woke both me and Christy up. It was pretty violent.
I think it was out of Inglewood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I popped up right away and just made it for the old-fashioned door jam. That's what I went for.
Nice.
That's just ingrained in my system now. Even if now it's the most deadly place to stand, apparently, I still go for the door jam. I can't help it.
I didn't feel it, but I saw the headline on CNN that said coronavirus causes earthquake. So I did catch it that way.
I did not realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Another case, Chris Cuomo's son has now contracted it. That makes 3 members of the family. So Chris finally was able.
Mario?
Mario, yep.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah, after Dad.
I saw it on, I heard it from Billy Bush last night.
Well, then you know it's true. Chris finally emerged from the basement after weeks in quarantine. And I believe his wife also tested positive, and now their 14-year-old son. Christina, as his wife, has also contracted. She says, my heart hurts more than my head over this infection. Earlier this week, he re-entered and, the triumphantly came out of the basement, but now the kid is sick. And I wonder how that works with 2 sick parents. I mean, I imagine they have the means for help, but it's like, now what? You all just keep passing this around until when?
I don't know, but we should definitely tag them and study their migration, you know. Cuomo family, because it's like you guys all, this is your little petri dish, your little 4,000 square foot petri dish you guys are living in. Let's figure out how this works. How it,
That's right.
Do you get some herd immunity here, some paisan immunity?
Yeah,
I'd like to know, but I think the kid's like, I don't know, 11 or something
14,
like that,
I think,
or 14. He's young, so he'll be fine. He just can't spread it to Nana and Pappy.
Right.
See what happens.
Or Uncle Andrew.
Yeah.
Leave
Oh,
him
you know what
alone.
else? You know what else I miss as well? I miss old guys wearing weird hats that let you know they were old.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like old guy hat. You don't
Like
see
the Newsies cap or the pork pie.
Yeah, or they had like sort of a hunting flappy kind of one. There was like a cold weather one. There was a warm weather one. It's just old guy hat.
Sure.
Then there was the Tyrolean sort of Swiss hat with the band around it. A lot of old guys wore that.
Yeah.
I think if you come through World War II, you're just game for anything. Nothing's going to kill you. You can do anything. I remember my grandpa used to sit on the stoop outside his house and smoke 1 cigarette a day after dinner. That was it. And I go, how can you do that? And he just went, It's not that hard. And I think when you go through World War II, you go, one cigarette a day? Yeah, I got that.
Makes things doable.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of card playing, a lot of wearing weird hats, a lot of projects they never finished in the garage. They were kind of putzing around with. My grandfather was always monkeying around with like the sprinkler system. You know, like he'd literally just go, I got to fix the sprinklers today. And that was that entire Saturday was doing something and going back and forth from the hardware store and just buying, little sleeves and right angles and nipples and stop angles and stuff and going back. Like he used to love just going back and forth. It was kind of like he was trying to ride out the clock. He's essentially going into a four corners. Just run that clock out so he could die. I guess my grandma was kind of a bitch, but I mean, he'd just be like, he'd go to the supermarket, buy one grape, bring it back, and go, all right, I'm going to go back for the rest of the grapes. He's just back and forth.
Can you blame him?
Well, it's
so great.
I was going to say my Canadian grandpa, who was married to the mean grandma, he had a train set, right?
Oh,
the train set was never done. It was always his place to retreat and just work away. And he had the weird hat. He had the flaps, the hunter cap with the flaps.
Yeah,
I missed the flaps.
love the flaps.
That's
great.
great.
My grandfather had the sort of newsy cap he would put on, and there was a little hardware store that was about a mile away, and you just go back and forth like all day long on this project that never ended. Maybe, I don't know, would he be happy to travel up the freeway on-ramp in Burbank and see this never-ending project? And maybe the folks that are working at that secretly hate their wives. Maybe they just want to keep pushing the same rock back and forth on the same patch of soil endlessly so they never have to go home to their shrews.
Smart.
Get a little OT.
Yeah, it is.
7 years of OT.
Yeah, the train said it's definitely a place to retreat, and it's never done, right?
That's good.
Yeah. You know what I also miss is the collar flip on the really super thin overcoats that old guys used to wear. They would wait till it was like minus 40, and then they just flip up that little 2-inch collar. That took care of everything. Took care of everything.
That's good.
Yeah, that was let everyone know it's cold. Yeah, and they didn't have all this great like sort of stuff from the North Face and all this kind of super
no Gore-Tex.
well-tested. Everything was good. Nah, everything was just you'd wear the blazer with the patches on the sleeves, the suede patch. You'd have to turn the collar up.
That was it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, wool always worked. So if you're having trouble talking,
Not one more weird one, maybe from my grandfather's sort of trunk of goodies was, and maybe this is another bygone thing, kind of weird exercise routine that you would perform at home. Like the deep lunges with the hands held out in front of like 2, 3. Like no way would he join a gym, and no way would he have a workout room, and no way would he have equipment. But he was doing the floor program in North Hollywood, just the deep squats.
That's sort of the Jack LaLanne version.
Yeah, kind of very Jack LaLanne. He had his whole little routine. He would do it like 7 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, and just to add to that, in terms of things they would never do, if you're lounging around the house and you're puttering all day, grandpas didn't wear sweatpants. They didn't wear basketball shirts.
Oh, no.
I hate this term. I hate it. But they would have a wife beater and slacks. That was their lounge gear.
Yeah, maybe dungarees if they were going to go work on the sprinkler system.
My grandfather
if they did have a shirt, it was almost always Fordham was the school from New York. Fordham. It's like some college just nobody even remembers. Bang, there it is.
My grandfather was a fairly famous pathologist, scientist, and it was always that hat with the little feather on the side, a wife beater, slacks, and he'd be in the basement with his microscopes and his scalpels and his stuff. Jesus. And it was always, we loved it. So not only
magnifying glass.
Yes. And so we would just make a beeline to the basement and just play with everything. And then in the den, now it's in my house, in my mom's house, and I'll have it forever. Player piano with all the scrolls and the pedals, and those were the two most exciting things. We couldn't wait to get there.
How about the simple concept of eating the exact same thing for breakfast and lunch for 41 years.
Oh, sure.
Grandfather
Well,
would take
not
like
keto people do that all the time.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're going to mix up lunch. You might have some chicken salad and then have a poached salmon the next or whatever. But my grandfather ate the exact same sandwich, the exact same thing for breakfast. Like he just did. It was all routine.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Gina.
Well, if you're having trouble talking to your little ones about the COVID issue, you can tune into CNN on Saturday because Sesame Street's holding a town hall. Big Bird will be there with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, reporter Erica Hill. They're going to address anxiety and screen time and play dates in the time of COVID-19. The goal is to help children make sense of what's happening and to get some medical experts on board to talk about treatment and vaccines. And also, if that's not enough to entice you, it's going to be 90 minutes, starts at 9 a.m. And Elmo, Abby, Kadabi, Rosita, and Grover will be there too.
I had a conversation with Sonny last night, which was, I was asking him, like, are you going stir crazy? How your friends doing? Which one of your friends is like a rebel? And he's like, everyone's just staying home, minding their business. Like, and I was like, first off, I'm the world's worst dad. I was like, when I was 13, no fucking way would I've ever stayed home. No way. Never in a million years. I'd be out somewhere on a fucking roof. I'd have someone in a headlock. Never. Yeah. Now, he lives in 7,300 square feet with a fucking jacuzzi and a theater, so it's a lot easier for him to pull it off. I would have 900 square feet, my mom in a room yelling freak out with her biorhythm wheel telling me it was an extra critical day today. But me and every guy I knew would have went, fuck it, we're 13, we're invincible, we're safe, and we would have completely jumped the fence and blown the coop all day, every day. And then that gave into a conversation about kids at school, and he gave me a tally on gay, lesbian, and transgendered. And I thought, wow, when you were in the 8th grade, you imagine going like, oh, there's 4 gay boys, and then there's 3 girls that are lesbian, and then there's 2 guys that are transgender. Like, could you imagine having that count when you were in the 8th grade and completely casual about it? Wasn't a big deal, which it isn't. It's still just weird to have that count in the 8th grade, right?
The most it ever was not, first of all, not middle school, but in high school is, I think that guy's gay, but we'll never know. And that was as far as it went.
Looking back, maybe there would have had 4 or 5 or whatever it was. But at the time, no, absolutely not.
Good for him.
Well, nowadays it's just, hey, let's go to the scoreboard. It's the only manual scoreboard left in the major leagues.
and like I think the transgender were beating out the gays in terms of populace.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I know.
New world. That's good.
A whole new world. That's right.
So, Brian, you may have something to weigh in on here because I know you usually have the stats at the ready, but with no actual sporting events to gamble on, sports books are expecting this year's NFL draft to be the most heavily wagered on draft ever. And how heavily wagered? Well, normally NFL drafts bring in about $1 million in action. This year, Fox Bet estimates $20 million.
Yeah, the draft is going to be very heavily wagered on. A lot of people like fantasy football. People that I follow are posting odds and predictions and all sorts of stuff. There's going to be over-unders, first running back take, everything you can imagine. They're getting very creative, the sports books, as you can imagine, because they got to make money.
Are you betting?
I don't know.
No, I don't have a lot of insight out of this.
I don't know what ESPN moves on to. I know they got the Jordan bio, but since the whole thing was shut down, all I've ever seen is fantasy draft predictions, experts, who's this. I've seen the same clips on the same 9 guys in the college team. All basically highlights from their college playing days, just played over and over and over again. It got to the point where I didn't know if the draft had taken place or was never going to take. I didn't know where I was anymore. It was nothing but speculating. That's all they had to talk about. So now when this thing is over, I don't know what they get on to. And on the sidebar, the cornhole competition sponsored by Johnsonville brats. I did see some of those gals.
And
They run large.
oh,
They run large. I don't know if you
Dirty.
need the heft or the girth to launch the beanbag properly, but those were some big gals with some bigger hair. I mean,
Well,
that's what
Adam, that's a game of center of gravity is very important in cornhole. And if you're looking for something to bet, coming up this weekend on ESPN5, it's making a comeback. It's built for social distancing. That's cliff diving. Set up a camera about 40 meters away and then just march Mexicans off a cliff at about a 10-meter gap. And people seem happy with that.
Oh, they had a stupid fire alarm went off right on your. That must be in my house. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
not me because I just muted my microphone. You can still
I
hear
had
it.
two things go down. I had an alarm for my septic tank go off, and I also had the fire alarm in the house go off in a 24-hour period.
What's with the money pit?
I don't know,
Wow.
but somebody is probably at my house trying to test out the thing or come over. So sorry, Chet, right in the middle of the punchline, the stupid alarm went off.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I've had punchlines stepped on constantly. In fact, that's one of the things I'm calling this weekend is step on your punchline. It'll be a Zoom thing, but I think it'll be fun.
Oh, special celebrity judge, Dr. Drew. That guy.
And, of course, that'll be brought to you by Pinocchio's, Nevada's only all-puppet brothel, just about set to reopen.
If the mayor hasn't her way about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I hate to be thinking about this while we were on to some other things, but so far there's only two names for that shirt, which is Wife Beater and Guinea T-shirt.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah. So is that going to go through a change with the transgender and the will we rename the Wife Beater T-shirt?
Yeah,
Spouse beater.
I've heard it called the European cut, but I don't think enough people know what that means.
Yeah.
It's no good.
Sleeveless should be something the Haynes folks might want to come up with pretty soon.
How about just a ribbed tank?
They got rid of the Land O'Lakes maiden the other day.
Yeah.
So
The butter maiden.
Maybe
They
this
did?
is maybe this is coming. Maybe this is
out.
maybe this is next. And somebody tweeted me earlier today, like, how much longer is Aunt Jemima gonna last? You know,
Right.
which I kind of agree as well. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead, Gina.
Well, Chipotle has to cough up $25 million. According to TMZ, the Justice Department has ordered Chipotle to pay the fine or face criminal charges over foodborne illness outbreaks of its restaurants. So between 2015 and 2018, there were more than 1,100 cases where customers complained relating to food poisoning from the restaurant. The franchise was also accused of selling expired food, failing to keep perishable items at a regulated temperature. The DOJ states that the restaurant has confirmed their fault that has resulted in the outbreaks and additional. Part of their settlement, they have to do 3 years of mandated safety compliance programs because everyone was getting sick, and the rumor I heard was it's because it's organic and pesticides. But organic's better, it's fine, but things weren't being kept at the right temperature.
Wow.
Some of the stuff was bad.
So those customers literally coughed up $25 million worth of
That's
food.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. My take is, when the government goes, look, it's going to be $25 million, now pay up. I'm fine with all that. But hey, government, that's not your money.
Right.
That's Taco Tuesday money for
Thank
the
you.
neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Like we need
That's what I
taco
said.
party.
That's class action money. Yeah, that's not just to teach someone a
Right.
lesson.
So the guy got food poisoning. He was bedridden for 4 days and he missed 5 days of work. It's like the government gets to hammer that check.
I
That's
always
gotta-
wonder about that.
I want to put that fucking money to that patch of dirt in Burbank and get some fucking hardscaping going out there.
Sure, at least a couple of fruit trees, for God's sake.
Right.
That's the scam, because every time it's like, whatever cell phone company, they have to pay this fine. Well, they're not paying it to me, and I'm their
Right.
customer. It's just going back into the ether.
I completely agree. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grad.
You got it. Well, as we record this, today marks the 15-year anniversary of the very first video ever uploaded on YouTube. Exactly 15 years ago, YouTube co-founder Joed Kareem posted an 18-second video. It is titillating, controversial. Actually, I'm just going to play it for you. This is the first thing ever uploaded to YouTube, and be prepared to have your socks knocked off.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really, really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
So that's the first thing that was ever uploaded to YouTube. And he never put up another video since, and now we know 2 billion people log in each month, according to YouTube. And he sold the platform to Google for $1.65 billion.
Wow.
1.65. Jesus Christ.
Kareem and his fellow co-founders.
I was like, when I was young, I know we're all just kind of taking a walk down memory lane here, but like when I was young, I would hear $1 million smile or $1 million home on the hills. Or that guy's got $1 million idea.
On their arm.
Yeah, it was all that. It was just $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. And if some big celebrity was living in $1 million house in Studio City, it was a $429,000 house, but it's still $1 million. Somewhere between whatever the stimulus packages are and whatever China owes us and whatever the deficit is and whatever these 23-year-old guys are selling their companies for, it's lost all its meaning. I don't know.
Million?
Yeah, if somebody said if I saw Lynette later on and she's like, I sold the Tesla for $1 billion, I'd go, okay. Why are you telling me? Price. Sounds all right. Am I still paying the insurance, or did you cancel that? Like, I don't even know what. Sold this company for $1 billion, or the deficit's $10 trillion. $10 trillion is a million billion, and a cajillion. Like, I'm all numbered out. Nothing really means anything anymore. And by the way, it's too many guys that are like in their mid-20s making kabillions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of shaming, right?
Very
Absolutely.
shaming.
Yeah, it used to be. Young people would make tons of dough, but there were star athletes. And you could kind of wrap your mind around it. Like, that guy's a specimen. He's got a 46-inch vertical, whatever. But now young nerds like just making shit we never thought of. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's so easy when you'd see some guy like, Jim Brown or Dr. J, and you'd go, fuck it, that guy's a phenom, man. That's gifted. Like, back up the Brinks truck. There's nothing. But when these young fucking nerds think of shit where you go like, shit, I should have thought of that. I could have thought of that. And you just got $10 billion.
I can't tell if you're impressed or angry or both.
Kind of both. Kind of both.
Both.
It was easy to do when a guy was like the matinee idol and he was so good looking, or he was an athlete, or she was such a beauty. You just go, of course Raquel Welch gets paid. Look at her. You know what I mean?
Jugs.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, not only are these guys doing it, they don't look the part. They're kind of diminutive. They're a little bit nerdy, but they're like 24 and a half.
Yeah.
They have more money than your aforementioned grandpa made in 1,000 lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah, it's all out of whack.
Maybe
a home on a lake would be a better yardstick. Something about where as opposed to how much.
Yeah, and when they start talking about, Trump and the federal government are going to bail out businesses to the tune of, I don't even know what it means anymore. Do you guys know what it means? And then someone goes, what that's going to do with the deficit? You know what the deficit currently is? And then someone goes, yeah, well, what about the Nikkei average? Or what about what China owes us? Or we owe China? Like, it's gone.
You're
lost.
Numbered out.
I don't know what I don't know what anything means anymore. Yep. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.